The auction block. The crowd was loud. The air was dry and full of dust. People shouted prices, laughed, and pushed each other. On a wooden stage, under the hot twin suns of the alien world, Tyrannox, stood a row of slaves. In the center stood a girl, young, thin, and trembling. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes a soft glowing blue, and her long white hair hung dirty and tangled. Heavy iron cuffs wrapped around her wrists and ankles. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She didn't even look up. Jaren, a human trader, from Earth, had come to the slave market for supplies, not for slaves. But something made him stop. He had seen all kinds of creatures in his travels. But this girl, she looked broken in a way that hit his heart hard. "Next one," the auctioneer shouted, dragging the girl forward roughly. "Young, quiet, obedient, still untouched, a rare prize. Let's start the bid at 200 credits." The crowd cheered and raised hands. 200, 300, 350. Jaren stood still. His eyes locked on the girl. She didn't react. Not to the shouting. Not to the sun. Not even to the man who spat near her feet. She was like a statue, beautiful but lifeless. 400, another man shouted. The auctioneer grinned. 400 going once. 600, Jaren said suddenly, loud and clear. Heads turned. A few gasped. No one had jumped that high. The auctioneer paused, surprised. 600 credits from the human. Anyone beat that? No one moved. Going once. Going twice. The girl lifted her head. Just a little. Her glowing blue eyes met Jaren's. For a second he saw something deep inside. Pain, fear, and maybe hope. Sold. To the human. The crowd clapped. Some cheered, others laughed. But Jaren ignored them. He stepped forward, signed the papers, and the keys were dropped into his hand. When he approached the girl, she flinched. "It's okay," he said gently, unlocking the cuffs from her wrists and ankles. "You're safe now." But the girl didn't answer. She just stood there, eyes wide, unsure if this was another trick. He led her to his small ship parked outside the market. The ramp opened with a soft hiss. Inside was quiet, clean, and cool, very different from the chaos outside. He guided her to a soft bench and gave her water. She drank fast, as if she hadn't had a drop in days. Then he gave her food, simple bread and fruit. She hesitated, then ate slowly, eyes never leaving him. "What's your name?" Jaren asked. No answer. He sighed. "You can have one. I'll call you Ayla. Is that okay?" Still no reply, but she didn't shake her head. Jaren nodded. "All right then, Ayla." He didn't ask questions. Not yet. He knew trauma when he saw it. He had seen war. He had seen prisoners. But this was something deeper. This girl had been broken not just in body, but in spirit. Later that night, Jaren set up a small sleeping area for her. Warm blankets. A fresh shirt. She sat silently, knees pulled to her chest. When he handed her a soft cloth to clean her face, she stared at it like it was a weapon. "You're not a slave anymore," he told her. "No one will hurt you here." Still no words. That night, Jaren lay in his room, staring at the ceiling. He couldn't sleep. Not because of fear, but because of anger. Anger that a girl like her could be treated like dirt, like an object to sell and own. In the silence, he heard soft steps. Then a pause at his door. He sat up. "Ayla?" The door opened just a little. Her small frame stood in the dark hallway. "You hungry again?" he asked. She shook her head. "Scared?" She didn't move. "Come in. Sit if you want." She walked in slowly and sat on the floor near the door, hugging her knees again. "You don't have to stay in the shadows," he said. "You can sleep on the bed if you want. I'll sleep on the floor." She looked at him with wide eyes, surprised. Then slowly, she shook her head and stayed where she was. Jaren smiled softly. "Suit yourself." He laid down again, this time feeling something. Not just sadness for her, but a strange feeling in his chest, like he had just done something right for the first time in a long while. Ayla watched him from the floor, her glowing eyes open long after he fell asleep. She didn't understand this human. She didn't trust him yet. But, for the first time in years, she didn't feel afraid. And that, for her, was everything. Ayla sat in the far corner of the ship, her knees pulled to her chest. She wore the clean shirt Jaren had given her, but her body was still tense, like she expected someone to shout at her or hit her. Her glowing blue eyes kept watching the floor. She hadn't spoken a single word. Jaren was in the kitchen area, heating food in the small metal pot. He glanced over at her. "It's almost ready," he said softly. "You'll like this. Human. Food. Warm and sweet." She didn't respond. He placed the bowl on the table, then stepped away. "You can eat when you want. No one will stop you." Ayla didn't move at first. Then, after a few minutes, she slowly stood and walked over. She sniffed the food like a wild animal checking for danger. Her hands were shaking. "You can sit," Jaren said. She looked at the chair, then sat carefully, like it might collapse under her. She picked up the spoon and began to eat, slowly and carefully. Jaren didn't speak. He didn't push. He just watched her quietly. After a while she finished, then stood again, ready to take the bowl and clean it. "No," Jaren said gently. "You don't have to serve anyone. I'll clean it. You rest." Her hands froze. She looked at him confused. She had never heard those words before. "I bought you out of slavery," he said. "But not because I wanted a servant. I just couldn't leave you there." Still, she said nothing. Later that evening, Jaren gave her a soft blanket and pointed to the bed again. "I'm sleeping in the pilot seat tonight. You take the bed." She stood still. "I won't touch you," he said. "I don't want anything from you." Her lips parted, as if she wanted to speak, but no sound came out. He turned and walked to the front of the ship. The next morning, Jaren was working outside the ship, checking the engine lines. When he stepped back inside, he noticed something strange. Ayla was sitting at the table, staring at a datapad. "You found something interesting?" he asked. She flinched but didn't drop the device. Then, to his surprise, she spoke. "Words," she whispered. Her voice was dry, quiet, barely there. "Learning. Your language." Jaren smiled. "You already speak some." She looked down. "Only little." "That's okay," he said. "We'll teach each other." She looked up. Why kind?" Jaren paused. That was the first full question she had asked. "Because you've never been treated kindly before," he said. "And you deserve it." Her eyes became wet. She turned her head away quickly, ashamed of the tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be," Jaren said, his voice steady. "Cry if you want. You don't have to hide anything here." The next few days passed quietly. Ayla still didn't talk much, but she watched Jaren carefully. Every time he fixed something or brought her food, she studied him. He never shouted, never got angry, never forced her to do anything. One night, as they sat under the stars outside the ship, she finally asked, "Why, buy me?" Jaren looked at the sky for a long moment before answering. "I saw the others. They looked at you like a tool, not a person. I don't know why, but when I looked at you, I saw someone who needed help. I was nothing," she whispered. "No," Jaren said firmly. "You were hurt, but you're not nothing. You're someone." She stared at him. He added, "You don't owe me anything. You don't have to be my servant or my anything. You're free." "Free?" She repeated the word slowly, as if trying to taste it. The next morning, things changed. While Jaren was out getting parts from a trader, Ayla cleaned the inside of the ship. Not because she was told to, but because she wanted to. When he returned, he raised his eyebrows. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," she said softly. But I wanted to. She stood a little straighter that day. That night she asked him, "Can I keep the name you gave me?" "Of course," Jaren said. "Ayla," she said again. "I like it." She smiled. It was small, almost invisible, but it was real. That night, she didn't sleep on the floor. She took the bed for the first time. Jaren stayed in the cockpit, but before she lay down, she said something that made him stop in his tracks. "Thank you, Jaren." His heart skipped a beat. It was the first time she said his name. He didn't reply. He just nodded, smiling to himself, in the dark. In a world full of war, trade, and cruelty, something rare was growing between them. Trust. Not a deal made with gold, not a deal made with chains, but a deal sealed with kindness. Ayla had learned how to sit without flinching, how to eat without shaking, how to speak a little without fear. But Jaren noticed, when the lights went off, when silence filled the ship, the pain always returned. She didn't scream. She didn't cry loudly. But sometimes at night he heard her whisper in her sleep, strange alien words mixed with soft whimpers. She curled into herself as if hiding from something only she could see. Jaren didn't wake her. He just sat outside her door, waiting until the sound stopped. One morning he made tea and found Ayla already awake, sitting near the window. "You didn't sleep," he said. "I don't want to dream," she replied. Jaren walked over and handed her a warm cup. "Do you want to talk about it?" She shook her head. "Too much. Too ugly." He sat beside her but said nothing. After a long pause, she whispered, "I was taken when I was very small. I don't remember my mother's face. I don't know what freedom felt like before you." Jaren's chest tightened. "They put collars on us," she said. "Shocked us when we didn't listen. I was sold many times. One owner kept me in a box for days. Said I was too pretty to be near others. So he hid me." Jaren didn't interrupt. His hands clenched, but his voice stayed calm. "You are safe now, Ayla," he said. "No one will touch you again." She looked down at her arms, lifting her sleeve to reveal old scars, faded but deep. "Do you still think I'm beautiful?" she asked, voice small and unsure. Jaren didn't hesitate. "Yes. Not because you're unmarked, but because you survived all this and still sit here with me." Ayla looked at him, her glowing blue eyes wide. She was used to being called many things, but not brave. He continued, "I don't see a slave. I see someone stronger than anyone I've met." Her lips trembled. She quickly turned her face away, trying to hide her tears again. "Stop saying nice things," she whispered. "Why?" "Because I want to believe them." Later that day, they landed on a green moon called Valon 4. Jaren had a small delivery job to complete, and Ayla followed him quietly, dressed in a hood and cloak to avoid attention. They walked through the local trading post. Ayla's head stayed low. She hated the stares of strangers. Even though no one knew her story, she still felt like they could see her shame. A vendor waved at Jaren. "Is she yours?" Jaren frowned. "She's with me, but she's not my property." The vendor raised an eyebrow. "Didn't know humans liked damaged goods." Jaren's hand curled into a fist, but Ayla gently touched his arm. "Don't," she whispered. He looked at her surprised. "I'm not afraid," she said softly. "He's not worth your blood." Jaren slowly let go of the anger. Back on the ship, Jaren asked, "Why didn't you let me hit him?" Ayla smiled, only slightly. "Because I've seen enough pain. You are different." He paused. "Do you believe that now?" She nodded. "I'm trying." That night, she did something new. She sat beside him during dinner, not across the table. "You're not sleeping yet?" he asked. "I want to stay up tonight," she said. "Tell me something. Anything. A story." He smiled. "Okay. Want to hear how I got this ship?" "Yes. So," he told her. "A funny story about how the ship was once stolen from pirates who accidentally left the key in the ignition. She giggled, an awkward sound, unsure, like she forgot how to laugh. But it was real. After the story, she said, "May I tell you one too?" Jaren nodded. She hesitated, then said, "It's not happy." "I'll still listen," she began. "When I was 13, a master made me dance in chains. He said if I danced badly, he'd take food away. One day I fell. He didn't feed me for 4 days. I thought I would die." Jaren didn't know what to say. He didn't want to cry in front of her. But she wasn't finished. "But then I had a dream," she said. "In the dream, a man with kind eyes cut the chains and gave me a name. That name was free." She looked at him now. "You didn't give me that name, but I feel like I finally earned it." Jaren reached across the table and gently touched her hand. "Ayla," he said, "you don't need to earn freedom. It's yours now." She stared at his hand. She didn't pull away, and for the first time she smiled. Fully. It was not the smile of a slave. It was the smile of someone becoming whole again. The sun on Velon 4 was gentle, unlike the cruel heat of the slave markets. Jaren's ship rested near the quiet cliffs, and inside, Ayla had started to feel a little normal. She helped organize tools, cooked simple meals, and even smiled now and then. But peace never lasts long for those who were once hunted. That morning, Jaren was fixing the fuel valves outside the ship when he noticed a strange dust cloud rising over the ridge. It wasn't a storm. It was a vehicle, military grade, moving fast. He called out, "Ayla, stay inside." She peeked through the ship's small window. When she saw the symbol on the side of the armored crawler, her whole body froze. A black snake, curling around a red star. She knew that mark. The slave cartel, her old masters. The crawler stopped just a few meters from the ship. 3 aliens stepped out, tall, muscular, and armed. One of them, a yellow-skinned beast with 3 eyes, smirked at Jaren. "Nice ship," the alien said. "We're looking for a girl." Jaren didn't move. "I don't have what you're looking for." "Oh, I think you do," the alien replied, tapping a small hollow pad. A photo flickered in the air. Ayla, chained and younger. Her eyes looked more dead in the image than they ever did in real life. Ayla gasped from inside. "She's our property," the alien growled. "Escaped from a trade camp last month. We tracked her signal to this area." "I bought her at the market," Jaren said, holding firm. "Legally," the alien sneered. "Slave papers mean nothing. She's tagged. Our collar tech leaves a trace for years." Jaren didn't reply. "We'll be taking her back now." Jaren stepped between them and the ship door. "No, you won't." There was silence, then slowly, the alien pulled out a small blade. Not to attack, but to show he wasn't bluffing. "Don't die for a broken pet, human." Inside the ship, Ayla's breath came fast. She pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding. Her past had found her. The men who beat her, starved her, locked her in boxes, stood outside just 1 door away, and Jaren was going to fight them. For her. Why? She had never been worth protecting before. She looked around and spotted something in the corner. Jaren's old blaster. She picked it up, hands trembling. Outside, the tension grew thick. The alien stepped forward. Last chance. Jaren reached for the side pouch on his belt. He didn't pull a weapon, just a device that blinked red. "This ship is locked," he said. "You won't get inside without my code. I can cut it open." "Not before I press this," Jaren replied, showing his thumb over the detonator switch. The alien paused. "You'd blow up your own ship? To keep her free?" "Yes." That's when the ship door suddenly opened. Everyone turned. Ayla stepped out, holding the blaster, her hands shaking badly. "Go away," she said. "Or I shoot." The aliens laughed. "She talks now," the leader mocked. "Cute." "I'm not cute," she said louder. "I'm not property, I'm not yours." The leader's face turned cold. "We made you. We fed you. We trained you. You hurt me, she said. You made me afraid of my own voice. Jaren looked at her with quiet pride. She had stepped out into danger, not to run but to stand. The alien raised his weapon. Jaren moved fast, too fast to think. He pushed Ayla aside and fired his backup blaster from his leg holster. One alien dropped, shot in the leg. The other two ran for cover behind the crawler. Inside, Jaren shouted, but Ayla didn't run. She fired too, her blast missing but forcing the enemies to duck. Then, silence. Smoke rose from the dry ground. The aliens scrambled into their vehicle, dragging their injured friend. "This isn't over," the leader yelled. "We'll find you both," the crawler roared away, leaving a cloud of red dust behind. Inside the ship, Ayla dropped the blaster. Her hands were burning from fear. She sank to the floor, shaking. Jaren closed the door, locked the ship, and ran to her. "You're okay," he whispered, holding her carefully. "It's over." "No," she cried. "They'll come again. Then we'll be ready." Tears ran down her silver cheeks. "You almost died. Because of me. I would do it again," he said. "Why?" she asked. "I'm not." "You are," he said firmly. "You're Ayla. You're free. And no one will take that from you again." She buried her face in his chest. For the first time, the fear didn't win. For the first time, she felt strong, not because of the blaster, but because someone stood for her, and she stood with him. The next day, the skies over Velen 4 were quiet, but Jaren knew it was the calm before the storm. Ayla barely touched her food. She sat by the window, staring at the clouds. Her body was tense, and her eyes were sharp. No longer the broken girl he had found in chains, but a woman watching for danger. "They'll come back," she whispered. "I know," Jaren said, "and I won't let them take you." She looked at him, her voice low. "They don't need permission. They take what they want, not this time." Later that evening, a message came through the ship's comm. A hollow voice echoed, cold and cruel. "This is Dren, commander of the Black Fang cartel. You stole from us, human. The girl is ours. If you believe she is free, then prove it. Come to the Dust Arena at dawn. Trial by combat. If you win, she is yours forever. If you lose, she belongs to us. And you die." Jaren's jaw tightened. Ayla froze in place. He turned off the message. "No," she said. "You can't do this." "I have to. They'll kill you." "Maybe, but if I run, they'll just keep hunting us. There's only one way this ends." She stood. "Then I'll fight." He shook his head. "No, they want me. They want to prove humans are weak." "You're not weak," she whispered. "But you don't have to die to prove that." "I'm not fighting for pride, Ayla. I'm fighting for you." Tears welled in her eyes, but she said nothing. The Dust Arena was an old pit, deep, wide, and surrounded by rocks. People from nearby colonies gathered to watch. Combat duels were rare these days, but the name Black Fang always drew a crowd. Ayla sat in the crowd, her hood pulled low. She kept her eyes locked on the gate where Jaren would appear. From the opposite side, Dren stepped out. He was massive, 7 feet tall, covered in metal armor, with cybernetic claws and red eyes that glowed with hate. "And this is the human," Dren laughed. "You think you can win?" Jaren didn't answer. He stood tall, blaster holstered, sword on his back, a calm fire in his eyes. The announcer's voice echoed, "Combatants ready, no help, no mercy, fight." The battle began fast. Dren charged like a beast, swinging with a massive steel hammer. Jaren rolled under the attack and slashed across the alien's leg. Sparks flew. The crowd roared. Ayla couldn't breathe. Her nails dug into her palms as she watched. Dren growled and swung again, this time catching Jaren's shoulder. Blood splashed across the dust. Jaren dropped to one knee. "Stay down," Dren spat. "The girl isn't worth it." Jaren looked up, pain in his face. But he smiled. "She's worth everything." With a sudden twist, Jaren pulled out a hidden blade from his boot and stabbed Dren in the side. The alien roared in rage. They grappled, fists and weapons flying. The fight was brutal, primal, raw. Metal cracked, blood spilled. Jaren's face was cut, and his breathing became slow and heavy. Ayla couldn't hold back anymore. She screamed, "Get up, don't give in!" Jaren heard her voice, clear, powerful, full of emotion. He stood one last time. Dren raised his hammer for the final strike, but Jaren ducked low and drove his sword straight through the alien's chest. Silence. Dren staggered, then collapsed, his weapon falling with a loud clang. The crowd was still. Then the announcer shouted, "Victory! The human has won!" Ayla jumped to her feet, running down the steps as Jaren dropped to his knees, bleeding and gasping. She reached him and threw her arms around him, tears pouring down her cheeks. "You fool," she whispered. "You almost died." "But I didn't," he breathed, resting his forehead against hers. "You're free now. For real." "No," she whispered back. "We are free." Back at the ship, Jaren lay on the bed, wounds bandaged, body weak. Ayla sat beside him, holding his hand. "You didn't just fight for me," she said. "You changed me. I'm not a slave anymore. I'm not afraid anymore." He smiled. "Then it was worth every bruise." She leaned down and kissed his forehead. "You didn't just win my freedom." She paused, then added, "You won my heart." The wind was cold that morning, not like the hot dust of the arena the day before. A strange silence floated around the ship, as if the whole planet held its breath. Ayla stood outside, wrapped in a long coat, watching the sun rise. Her silver skin shimmered under the golden light, but her heart was full of storms. Jaren was alive, but barely. Inside, he slept in pain. Bandages covered his chest, shoulder, and arms. Every breath he took was slow and heavy. The cartel was quiet, for now. Dren was dead, but the Black Fang had many leaders. Jaren's victory bought time, not peace. Ayla clenched her fists. He had fought for her, bled for her, nearly died, for her freedom, and now he lay broken. No, she wouldn't let him fight. Again, this time she would stand. That afternoon, Jaren woke to the smell of broth. Ayla sat beside the bed, carefully feeding him with a small spoon. Her face was calm, but her eyes were red like she had cried all night. "You should rest," he whispered. "I did," she replied. "But I kept dreaming you stopped breathing." He managed a weak smile. "Still breathing, still stubborn." She touched his forehead, brushing his hair back. "Jaren, I've made a decision." He looked at her, confused. "If another fight comes, I will take your place." "No," he said firmly. "You don't have to." "I do," she interrupted, voice trembling. "You saved me, but I'm not that broken girl anymore. I won't let you die in my name." He tried to sit up, but pain pulled him back. "Ayla, I didn't fight so you'd have to become like me. I did it so you could be free. And now I am," she said softly. "Which means I can choose to protect you." He stared at her, heart full of both pride and fear. "Promise me," he said. "You won't do it alone." She nodded. "I won't." Later that night, a messenger drone hovered near the ship. A small device dropped from its belly. Ayla picked it up and pressed play. A deep voice echoed, colder than Dren's. "I am Korvek, Dren's brother. He died by your hands. Now we settle it by blood." Jaren and Ayla listened in silence. "The duel is tomorrow. Dawn. No weapons. No tricks. Honor against honor. If you refuse, it will come with fire." The message ended. Ayla stood up. "I will go." "No," Jaren said weakly. "He'll kill you." "I won't let him." She turned to the cabinet where Jaren's gear was kept. She didn't reach for a blaster or sword, just the old combat gloves. She slid them on slowly. "I know how to fight now," she said. "Not with power, but with something stronger." "What?" with the will to protect the one person who made me believe in life again. Dawn came fast. The duel ground was quiet. No arena this time, just bare sand and a ring drawn with ash. Korvek stood at one end, taller than Dren with dark scales and silver teeth. His red eyes glowed with hate. He laughed when he saw her. "You send a girl to face me? The same little slave we once sold for scraps?" Ayla stepped forward, her voice calm. "I'm not a slave anymore." Korvek grinned. "Then let's see what freedom has made of you." The duel began. He charged like thunder, his fists like hammers. Ayla dodged the first swing, rolled under the second, and hit him once in the side. It was fast, but not enough. Korvek grabbed her by the arm and threw her into the sand. The crowd gasped. She groaned, her shoulder aching. Still soft, he spat. Ayla coughed but stood. Her legs shook, but her eyes burned with fire. "You can't break me anymore." He charged again. She sidestepped at the last second and slammed her knee into his side. He roared in pain. Jaren, hidden behind the crowd, watched from the shadows, barely able to breathe. His heart pounded with every move. Ayla struck again, this time faster. She didn't fight like a soldier. She fought like someone who refused to be put down again. Each punch, each dodge, wasn't just for survival. It was for dignity, for Jaren. Korvek growled and grabbed her throat, lifting her into the air. The crowd went silent. Then she smiled and slammed her knee into his jaw. He dropped her, stunned. She twisted and punched him in the throat, then the chest, then one final blow to the head. Korvek fell, not moving. The crowd stayed quiet. Then the judge stepped forward. "Victory belongs to the girl." Cheers erupted. Jaren, struggling, limped toward her. She ran to him and caught him before he fell. "I told you," she whispered. "I wouldn't let you fight alone." "You did more than that," he said. "You showed the galaxy who you really are." That night, as the stars shone above their ship, Ayla sat beside Jaren, her hand in his. "No more chains," she said. He looked at her, smiling softly. "No more fights. Just us? Just us." And under the quiet sky, two broken souls, once strangers, now one, found peace not through war, but through the courage to fight for each other. Weeks passed. The danger faded, but the memories did not. Ayla stood on the ship's top deck, eyes closed, letting the wind brush across her face. The scars on her body had started to heal, but something deeper had healed first. Her spirit. She was no longer afraid of open skies, no longer afraid of being seen. Behind her, Jaren stepped outside slowly, still recovering but stronger every day. He smiled when he saw her standing tall like a warrior, not hiding in corners like before. "You've been quiet today," he said, leaning beside her. "I was remembering," she said. "The girl who first stood here." She couldn't even lift her head. He nodded. "She's gone now." "No," Ayla said softly. "She's part of me. But now she has a voice and a choice." Jaren looked out at the stars. "So what will you choose?" She turned to him, her glowing blue eyes gentle. "You," she whispered. "I choose you." Later that night, the ship landed in a quiet village on a moon called Erostal. It was peaceful, filled with humans and aliens living side by side. No cartel, no fights, just warmth and freedom. Jaren took Ayla's hand as they walked through the small garden square. Children ran past laughing and old merchants offered fruits and handmade jewelry. "Let's stay here for a while," Jaren said. "No more running." Ayla squeezed his hand. "I'd like that." Suddenly, a soft voice spoke from behind a stall. "You two look close." They turned to see an old alien woman, wrinkled and kind-eyed. She smiled, then held up a small pair of golden rings made from stardust glass. "These are for bonded pairs," she said. "Old tradition. You give one, you keep one." Jaren looked at Ayla. She looked back and nodded. "I want that," she said. That evening, under the twin moons, Jaren stood in front of Ayla with the stardust rings in his hand. His heart was pounding. "I never planned any of this," he began. "I didn't expect to find you. I didn't expect to care this much, but I did, and I do." He held out the smaller ring. "I want to protect you, not because I bought you, not because I saved you, but because I love you." Ayla's eyes filled with tears. She took the ring and slipped it onto her finger. Then she took the other ring, her hands steady. "I was born into darkness," she said. "I lived in chains, I forgot how to speak. But you reminded me I'm a person, that I can feel, that I can choose. And I choose to be yours. Not as a slave, not as a rescued girl, but as your partner, your wife." She slid the ring onto his finger. They held each other for a long moment. There was no cheering crowd, no music, no priests, just two hearts beating quietly in a world that finally stopped hurting. Days turned into weeks. Ayla learned to cook human meals. Jaren learned her language. They laughed, argued about how to fix the ship's kitchen lights, and danced to old music under the stars. One night, while lying in bed, Ayla rested her head on Jaren's chest. "Do you still think about the arena?" she asked. "Sometimes," he replied, "but mostly, I think about what came after." "I dreamed once," she whispered, "that someone would see me, not as a slave, but as a person. I never thought the dream could be real." "It is," he said softly. "You're not anyone's property. You're mine. Because you chose me." She smiled. "And you chose me." One morning, a young alien girl from the village knocked at their door. She had tears in her eyes. "My brother. He was taken by slavers. Please, help us." Ayla and Jaren looked at each other. There was no hesitation. "Let's go," Ayla said, already grabbing her boots. "Wait," Jaren said, handing her something, her old combat gloves. "You might need these." She slid them on and grinned. "Let's bring him home." And just like that, they stepped into the light, not as victims, not as wanderers, but as protectors, together, stronger, united. Back in the ship before takeoff, Ayla stood in front of the mirror. She saw her own reflection, the silver skin, the glowing eyes, the scars, and the ring. She smiled. Once, she was nameless. Once, she was broken. Now, she was Ayla, not a slave, not a tool, not a lost girl, but a wife, a warrior, a woman who had taken her life back, hand in hand with the only man who ever saw her worth forever.